Hello and welcome to the Pack Fresh first edition of Trading Card Gems, a channel where I fruitlessly attempt to justify to both you and my loved ones why I've spent thousands of dollars on shiny cardboard with no end in sight. My videos will focus primarily on a franchise that may as well know my debit card PIN, Pokemon. That said, I'm not ruling out cameos from other paper peddling schemes down the line, including Magic the Gathering and Yu-Gi-Oh! In case you just woke up from a 25-year coma, Pokemon is a game that pits adorable, semi-magical creatures against each other for the enjoyment of... Okay, hold on. This always bothered me. Where do water Pokemon keep that ridiculous volume of liquid? It's not like every time Squirtle wants to use water gun, it needs to go find and sit on the nearest fire hydrant. So what, is that just like its pee? Nowadays, even the most aggressively out-of-touch boomer can probably tell you a pristine Charizard is worth more than a kidney. Thanks largely to the antics of this man, who has to date dropped mansion money on finely aged wood pulp, the market is spiking like crazy, with millennials calling up their moms, digging up childhood card collections, and discovering they suddenly have a six-figure net worth. I sold my collection almost 2 decades ago, but as I slowly piece together a little nostalgia binder, I find myself reflecting on why I started down the trading card road to begin with. Beyond playing against friends or feeling pride when I saw the monsters in my collection on TV, I stared at my cards for hours on end, memorizing their real-world stats and admiring the talent and care put into their artwork. Except for Sugimori, who kinda just phoned his cards in by taking something he already drew and applying a drop shadow on the sky. Looking inward made me rethink the value of these rainbow wood chips that I hoard. As Marie Kondo might ask, do they spark joy? The more I considered it, the more I understood what it was about the hobby that drew me in all those years ago. I love cards that look absolutely ridiculous. And so, Trading Card Gems was born. I'm bringing together cards from near and far, old sets and new, taking you along for the journey my imagination embarks upon whenever I see card art that makes me giggle like Mike Tyson holding a pigeon. I am a disembodied pair of hands, and this is today's card. There are a million beautiful things going on across Magikarp and Waylord GX Tag Team alternate full art. But let's start with the obvious. You can never truly tell how aware Magikarp is of its surroundings, with a face that equally passes for existential dread, permanent confusion, and remembering that it left an incognito window open on the laptop that it just lent to its work friend. Meanwhile, Waylord sports its usual shit-eating grin, which is, again, either shady as hell or implies that it has the IQ of a zucchini. The entire scene is textured with a beautiful holographic fingerprint effect that makes me just want to do this for a few seconds. Nice. Next, let's take a look at our attack options. Magikarp's splash move is infamous for failing to ever achieve, well, anything.
Please clap.
This is painstakingly documented in every Pokédex entry that has existed for the fish Pokemon? Okay, I'm a little salty about that one because they usually at least try a teeny bit harder with species names like Megaton Pokemon or Weed Pokemon. Oh, they definitely knew what they were doing with Oddish. Anyway, as the Pokédex puts it, Magikarp is famous for being very unreliable. An underpowered, pathetic Pokemon, it may jump high on rare occasions, but never more than 7 feet. A pathetic excuse for a Pokemon. Unable to swim against even slow-moving currents. You know, I had to dig a lot, but I was able to find one nice thing somebody said about Magikarp. It turns out that all Magikarp needed to be great, though, was a little help from a gigantic friend. In fact, until the latest games in the series, where Game Freak introduced a spoopy skeleton that literally powers a continent, Waylord was the biggest Pokemon in existence, reaching a size of 47 feet 7 inches. That's 2.4 giraffes, 1.7 giraffes on stilts, or to put it in terms you're slightly more familiar with, 10 Danny DeVitos. With so much volume, you'd expect the Lord of the Whales to pack some serious poundage, too. Borrowing stats from its closest real-world analog, the Humpback, Waylord should come in at around 77,000 pounds, or 478 DeVitos. Instead, Waylord's weight on the books is 877.4 pounds, or a mere 5 DeVitos. My two main theories for this discrepancy are, one, that Waylord, like most middle-aged women I know, severely underreported its weight on its driver's license, or two, that most of that thickness is actually ungodly amounts of gas. I'm more partial to the blimp theory, since Waylord's toots clearly managed to vault our Crimson Carp high enough that gravity helps it do some serious damage. You have to dedicate 10% of your 60 card regulation deck to the strategy, but while Splash might be sad, Super Splash does a complete 180. And now for my favorite part of the card, the GX move, Towering Splash. I love the fact that, as a class of move you're only allowed to use once in a game, it will only ever do 10 damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. It's the equivalent of accidentally using your last Genie Wish to ask what time it is. The full majesty of Towering Splash, however, emerges if you manage to load your derpy duo with a disgustingly fat stack of water energy. If this Pokemon has at least 7 extra water energy attached to it, in addition to the attack's cost, this attack does 100 damage to each of your opponent's benched Pokemon. Don't apply weakness and resistance. I've actually put together a brief artist's rendering of what that would look like. And that is why this card is the best card in the game.